Episode 25, Attic Hour Podcast. Welcome back. Thank you for listening. Let's preface that the door is open for our visual watchers because it's boiling hot up here. But that's why that's open, just so everyone is aware. And we have a special guest who is now basically a host. I mean, comes on here every other week, it seems like.
Third time.
My first time with him, but yeah. History.
Garrett Lance.
I
forgot to say his name.
Yep.
So, yeah, we were talking before we started this. The episode 24 was a shorter podcast on truth, or our opinion of truth. And I know we had like the series before on conspiracy theories and so on and so forth, so we decided to follow all that up with the one on truth. But that's another one. Did I say that?
We completely failed.
Yeah.
Did we completely fail at our last podcast?
I don't know if we failed. I think we missed an obvious point of what truth really is, and we were kind of stuck in a rut of finding truth, which maybe that's what we were going for. But I feel like I say that a lot too. Anyway, I'm trying to get over this. So using the example of the world is round or the world is flat. Yeah. Because we were saying if it's a truth, then there should be no evidence against flat Earth, and
there should be no evidence for flat Earth.
There should be no evidence for
Garrett's
flat
over
Earth.
here like, I actually believe in flat Earth.
No. Right. So truth is if you could have all knowledge, or this is what I thought when I was editing, if you could have all knowledge of the universe, okay, you know everything.
Yeah.
If you could look at Earth and you see what it is, let's say it's a ball, or it's a sphere, or it's flat, that is truth. Because that is, you know everything, and that is now a fact. And so whether or not you believe the Earth is round or flat is just an interpretation of the truth. But that doesn't really change if it's true or not.
The truth doesn't change.
No.
Is what you're saying.
All based on what you say. For example, I could say that cup is made out of metal, or that water bottle is made out of metal. And maybe we say that's the truth and stuff, but someone has an argument. It's like, well, they make stuff that looks like plastic. Just because that argument holds water, that's a metal water bottle. Too. Yeah. So I think it is, actually, I don't know. But for example, it doesn't really matter if you can hold water against it or not. Maybe our theory or how we believe it's true could be wrong, but truth doesn't matter it's just a fact. I don't know if that makes sense.
Theories are attempts to interpret the truth.
Right. Understanding of truth is kind of, and then we just call that truth.
But there's only one truth though, and like that never changes.
Has to be. Yeah.
Right.
It
has to be only one, not all of the above.
Yeah. So, for example, let's say with religion, like we're Christians, so I mean, and Muslims we all believe that truth is one thing, but a Christian would believe that Jesus came and died this is truth. This is what happened. Like, if you're not a human, apart from your beliefs, in a timeline, this is just what happened as a fact.
Sure.
Like, I lived and breathed yesterday. Like, that's a fact. That's true. I didn't die. Yeah. So it's like, we believe that this is what happened. Muslims believe that. But, like, then the belief is that what I believe is true. And that's, I think, where belief comes in. Like, you believe it's true. Like, you believe your opinions are the actual rule set of the universe, I guess.
Yeah.
That I think we missed that in like the absolute part of truth, because we're like, well, if you can make an argument against truth, it's like, well, that's just what you believe truth is. So then I think that comes to relative truth, which there's not.
Which our opinions, our perspectives.
The Earth couldn't be round and the Earth can't be flat.
Right,
at the same
it can't
time.
be both.
One of those is right, and that is a truth. But both beliefs of that truth is kind of our own opinion. So that is like my try not to take 4 minutes of this, but that is like my concluded thoughts. And when I was listening to it, I was like, I don't think we
didn't communicate that very clearly.
Right. I think we were thinking along the lines
even if
of
that
relative.
even if that was our intent, that's not what we communicated.
Yeah. I don't know. And I don't know if anybody that listened to that is going to listen to that. But if you go back or you want to go back after this and listen to that, you can think of it with that mind. And if you don't agree with that, let us know in the comments. Maybe we'll have you on.
Yeah, we don't get enough comments anymore. I mean, this is towards the beginning of the episode, so hopefully our viewer retentions, people are still listening 5 minutes in. But if you're still listening right now, just write us a comment and say hi. Just say that you're listening. Say that you love us. It makes us feel good. Special inside.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And thank Garrett for coming on in the comments. Yep.
I'll have to watch that one when I get home.
Yeah, or not. It's up to you.
Or not.
I mean, it's pretty. I only listened to like the first 5 minutes of it. It was pretty funny.
Also, there's a terminology for the whole dopamine with dopamine making you reaffirm things that you believe, and I forget it's
Like the fact like that humans love finding explanations for things.
or it's the drawing conclusions of unrelated facts or finding ties to it. There's like an actual medical term for it, or like terminology, and I completely
finding
whiff it.
patterns and formulating conclusions where really there's no conclusion to draw.
Correct. Yeah, I don't think I could find this in 30 seconds, or we don't want to stop for 30 seconds, but it was a really sweet word. It's like something abstinence or...
Dude, I made up a word, and I like keep it in my vocabulary so that eventually it ends up in the Webster dictionary.
What does it take to get something? Well, first of all, say what your word is.
Chilophagus. That's
What's
the term for
definition?
whenever your toes are cold.
Interesting.
Chilophagus.
I'm pretty sure there's probably already a word for that.
Oh, there probably
You're
is.
saying cholophagus?
Chilophagus.
Spell
It's
that.
fun to say. Say it.
Chilophagus. Yeah, it's a fun word to say.
Yeah,
I like
it's
it a lot.
whenever your toes are cold.
But I don't see how that correlates.
It's like a chill. I don't know.
Chilophagus. Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, that's better than Bert just pulled it up. Arsenal coldness, bro. That's so lame.
Right.
Chilophagus is so much better.
So I wonder what it takes
So
to get
I'm
a
gonna
word
keep
that-
repeating that and keep that as a part of my vocabulary, and people are gonna like catch me saying that and be like, "Oh, that's apparently a word."
I'm sure there's some like form you could submit to Webster.
Yeah, Bert, can you look up, is it possible to create a word in the Webster or add a word to the Webster dictionary? Because, like, it's that book. Do you guys ever read Frindle back in the day, like elementary school?
I did not.
You heard of that?
I've heard of it.
I forget how it all goes, but I know there's a kid that essentially starts using a word, and then other people catch on to that word, and then pretty soon the whole school is using the word.
Yeah, that's
And
what
then
I
I
want
think
to
it
be.
spreads on, and then, like, more people start using the word.
Yeah, that's what.
Well, yeah, we see many examples of that today.
Yeah,
Like
yeah. That would be like
Riz.
Riz.
yeah, this would probably be like the before all that, but yes, it is possible to add a word to the Webster dictionary. I mean,
It's not done by simple submission.
They must demonstrate widespread, frequent, and sustained usage across diverse
Yeah, which is why if I keep like repeating it or keep it as a part of my vocabulary, it might spread and other people might start using it.
What you need to do is just start writing papers with it in it, and then get
Yeah.
them published.
Yeah, academic papers, and then
just
it's
don't say
all
anything about it.
factual.
Just include it in the paper, and then people.
Yeah, then that's just thrown in there.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's funny.
Any luck?
Okay, I think the word that I was thinking of, I found two. Apophenia.
Ooh, that is good.
Apophenia is the universal human tendency to perceive meaningful patterns or connections between unrelated or random things.
That's exactly what we were talking
Yeah,
about.
that sounds perfect.
And then there's this is the one I was thinking. Aberrant salience. ABERRANT SALIENCE. Salience, I think that's how that's pronounced, but I thought that was a really cool word.
Aberrant salience.
Aberrant salience.
Aberrant
Elevated
salience.
dopamine levels, particularly in the brain's salience network, cause random stimuli to feel meaningful or significant. This is often described as aberrant salience, where the brain inappropriately assigns importance to external objects or internal thoughts. So those are two of your definition words. For,
Yeah, those are your words for the week, kids.
aberrant salience and apophenia.
Memorize them.
Comment your favorite word in the English dictionary down below.
Yeah, and I don't know if those are. I don't think those are diseases. They sound like diseases. I think those are
It's
like.
probably like mental illness.
I don't know if it's as far as an illness. I think it's just
A mental condition.
not even a condition. I think it's just a
That thing that happens.
A thing that the
happens.
brain does.
Yeah. It is cool. Yeah, I was reading up on like the whole reward system and stuff for the brain. It's actually crazy. It was a great little rabbit trail I had to do while I was editing.
Yeah. No, that's great. That's great.
Mhm.
That's why it took him so long to edit.
Not because our
Not
audio
fighting the
screwed
mic.
up.
That was technical.
No, I've
difficulties.
had to do a lot more looking up on these last
So,
3 episodes.
What do we do different this time to make sure that doesn't happen again? I guess last time it didn't happen.
I don't know, but I don't think the viewers really care.
No, I
Well,
don't
no,
think
for
they
your
do.
sake, it's annoying to have 2 tracks. But I don't know.
Yeah, I don't really think about it. Anyway,
Yeah,
we
so-
have a guest. I don't think he
Yep.
said more than 10 words.
Yeah, so,
Yeah.
so like for this episode, I recently watched the Broadway play / movie Hamilton.
Mhm.
You guys
Okay.
familiar with that?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
I have more questions about why you watched.
Incredible. I loved it. It was amazing.
How long is it?
Probably
Like 3 hours.
2.5.
3 hours.
Okay, I don't know why.
On
I thought it
Disney
was a
Plus.
series.
Do you watch it for school or
It's
something?
it's one of the most impressive for fun. It's one of the most like impressive things I've ever seen. Like the entire thing's a musical, but it's like actually good music. Like I don't know, it's like kind of rappy, I guess. I mean, obviously it's based on Alexander Hamilton, so history.
Yep. Sort of loosely based on Alexander Hamilton in some parts. But,
Yeah, I mean, sure, there's parts that are
you
fabricated.
got to make it fun and interesting.
Okay, it looks like it's 2 hours and 45 minutes. But yeah, anyway, I watched that, and I mean, I love history, and I love music. So like, I mean, I loved that, and so that made me get back into history. So I started listening, just grinding a podcast, history that doesn't suck. I would highly recommend. Listened to like 20 hours of that last week.
Jeez. Yeah.
So yeah, early American history. Then I was like, dude, this stuff is very interesting. In church last Sunday, Garrett and I were talking about it, and I was like, hey, just come on the podcast, bro.
Yeah. Yep. Just got a text, and it's like, it's sort of last minute, but could you just come on the podcast on Wednesday?
Yeah.
I'm like, sure.
There we go.
Nothing better
Yeah.
to do, right?
Yeah. Got nothing. Yep. But early American history is pretty interesting because a lot happened in such a short time.
Right.
It's a foundation of where we live today. So everything we do, all the laws we follow, sort of come from that time period.
Right, they're setting all the precedents, and then also like in schools we learn about like the Revolutionary War, especially for some reason I noticed that it's really focused on like the first half of the Revolutionary War. So like Paul Revere, like crossing the Delaware, you know all that stuff.
Yeah.
The war was a lot longer than I thought it was. I didn't realize how it. I thought it ended with the signing of the Declaration of Independence.
They pretty much started.
Yeah, that was pretty much the beginning.
With the Declaration of Independence, and if you've ever read the Declaration of Independence, it's just a long list of complaints about the king. So, I can't remember how many different complaints there were, but there were a lot, and it's just like, the king does this to us, the king does this, and these are the reasons why we're declaring our independence from Great Britain, from the British Empire.
The big fact, or the big motivator, is that the word, was it taxation without representation?
That was a big thing, because like with like the British just got out of the war with the French and Indian War.
Yep.
So they were hurting for money, and the easiest way for a government to get money is to tax people. And if you look at it objectively, it's pretty fair for the British government to tax the colonies.
Yeah,
Because they just spent a lot of money protecting
them.
the colonies from French invasion.
Which people in continental America fought with the British against the French and the Indians, right?
They did, including George Washington. He fought in one of the first battles of the French and Indian War. And that's sort of where he gained his first standing and the initial respect.
Yeah.
That later led to him being the first president of the United States. And some other things that the British government, there's the Stamp Act, so they taxed all paper products. So you were to go buy a deck of playing cards, there's a tax for that. The deed for your shed, there's a tax for that. A newspaper, there's a tax for that.
And obviously, that's how newspapers and stamps. I mean, you send letters back and forth. I mean, back then, that's
how.
It's like taxing our text messages.
Yeah, in newspapers, that's how everyone's getting their information. But there's also the what was it? There's some acts where the colonies could only trade with the British. So they couldn't trade with the French. They couldn't trade with the Spanish or the Portuguese. They had to trade with the British. But the British were also adding taxes and all the stuff that they're forcing the colonies to trade for them. It's like the Transportation Acts or whatever.
So at this time, in terms of North America or modern day United States, what countries owned what sections of it?
So pre French and Indian War, Britain owned 13 colonies. So New York, Maine, like from Maine pretty much to Georgia that's what the British owned.
Mm-hmm.
That's where their people were. And then the French owned Canada, or most of Canada, and like sort of pretty much from the colonies to the Mississippi. The French owned.
Okay.
And past that, the French owned most of it. And then the Spanish had, of course, what's Mexico today and Florida, most of the Caribbean islands. A lot of them were Spanish, along with like South America.
So who had like the western half of the United States?
The French.
So how did
Okay.
the French? How long had the French owned that before colonization?
I'm not sure. It's more just like, oh, our people moved here, so it's ours now, sort of thing. Because
Yeah.
even like the Native Americans, they didn't own the land. That was the whole thing, is they believed nobody should own the land.
Right, everybody would just ignore the Indians, and it's a race for whatever land you touch.
It's a
first
race
is
for,
yours.
and even in the beginning, like after the French and Indian War, the British wouldn't let anyone settle past the Appalachian Mountains, even though they had control up to the Mississippi
Are the British had control up to the Mississippi?
after the French and Indian War.
Oh, okay.
Which
but
is-
here's the acts that you were talking about.
Yeah, like the Sugar Act, Stamp Act, or and the Navigation Acts. That's what they're called.
Township
The
Act.
Yep.
Tea
So-
Act.
And there
Yes.
were a bunch of protests, especially the Tea Act. There was, of course, the Boston Tea Party,
Yep.
where a group of the Sons of called the Sons of Liberty.
Sam Adams.
Yep, he was one of them. They dressed themselves up as Native Americans and got on a ship that was full of tea that was just in the harbor and threw all the tea overboard. And there was a lot of money worth of tea. And of course, the British government got mad, so they put soldiers in Boston, sort of to keep the peace, keep control of the city. It's sort of to try to make sure that the revolution didn't happen.
I'm sorry. Maybe I missed this. I'm not good with history. The reason they dressed up, I'm assuming they dressed up as Native Americans purely for other people to think it was actually Native Americans, or I guess it was just for like no reason. Like there was no
It was-
benefit really.
It's to like disguise who they were. It wasn't
So,
necessarily to
okay.
put blame on
it's
natives.
the equivalent of like you putting on a mask.
I guess.
Yeah.
Okay.
But the problem is everybody knew who they were.
Right.
But-
yeah, okay.
So everyone knew who was in the Sons of Liberty. They just couldn't be like, I actually saw you there.
Yeah.
Well, it was a whole thing too. Like after that, whenever the British sent their soldiers to Boston or whatever, they would quarter their soldiers, or
Yeah.
like they would force
houses.
families to like
Yeah.
take
Yeah.
in their soldiers and like feed them and clothe them, and
And that's a
give them
big thing.
place to sleep.
And like in the Bill of Rights,
Mhm.
the first 10 amendments, you have the right to not quarter soldiers. So the U.S. government can't make, or even the state can't make you, like, let soldiers live with you.
Yeah.
So, and a lot of what's in the Bill of Rights sort of comes from how the British treated the U.S. And even the Articles of Confederation, which was like our first form of government.
Yeah.
Was sort of everything we didn't like that the British did. We're not going to let our government do that. Which led to a very weak and effective federal government in the beginning.
Yeah.
So,
So, okay, so 1776 is whenever the Declaration of Independence was signed. You know,
Mhm.
before all of that was like the Boston Tea Party, Paul Revere, I think.
well,
Or
you had
was
the
that
Boston
after?
Tea Party, you had the Boston Massacre.
Yep.
Which, if you read up on that, so is just a mob of people in Boston, and they would throw rocks and snowballs and oyster shells, clam shells they're throwing them at British soldiers.
Right.
And more British soldiers showed up. The protesters kept on throwing things, hurting the British soldiers, and then some of the British soldiers fired into the crowd. So there could be an argument that there's self-defense involved.
Well, I think there kind of was, because it was spread as propaganda for like to inspire revolution.
Yes.
Like John Adams, I think, decided to like be the lawyer representing the soldiers.
He was the lawyer that represented the soldiers, and they weren't charged with anything,
Yeah.
or at least most of them weren't. And like, so, and Paul Revere, he was a silversmith. he's the one that did the engraving. Like you seen that famous like newspaper painting of the soldiers all lined up shooting into the crowd.
Yeah.
And he's the one that did that engraving, printed it.
Really?
Okay, so he made that picture and then like sent it out.
So it made the rest of the colonies believe, the
Yeah,
British
there was
just
a
killed a
massacre.
bunch
Yeah.
of people in
Well,
Boston for
even
no
just
reason.
the name, dubbing it the Boston Massacre makes it
Boston
sound
Massacre.
like horrible.
Yeah. And that was one of the sparks that led to the Declaration of Independence.
Yep.
Being written, signed, and read out on July 4th, 1776.
Yeah, so after America declared independence in 1776, that was kind of the beginning of the war. Kind of. So what did like the American, did they have like any form of government like set up, or like how did they?
They had
did they have a hierarchy? Or?
It was like the first Continental Congress.
Mm.
So it was pretty much all the colonies had delegates they sent to help write the Declaration, and that was pretty much what the government was. So the First Continental Congress was a government. They set up a Continental Army, and the general chosen was George Washington, famously.
Makes sense.
And the problem is they had like zero funding, and it was hard for them to get weapons, supplies. And so for a good portion of the American Revolution, the colonies were actually losing, or what I'd consider losing.
Yeah.
For most of it. Like they didn't have nearly as much soldiers as the British had. They didn't have as many weapons, as much ammo, as much food, as much clothes.
And we had like Valley Forge, right?
The Valley Forge, the winter that year was really bad, and soldiers were getting gangrene and frostbite.
People were deserting left and right.
People were deserting left and right.
People were getting chilophagus.
Chilophagus.
Yeah.
And
Did we
George,
talk about that on the podcast, or was that off the air?
Oh, we talked about that on the podcast.
Okay, I was gonna say people are gonna wonder what I'm talking about.
and
They already do. Anyway, keep going.
every time. But so George Washington was just struggling to keep people together, to keep the colonies
to keep the
together,
army together.
to keep the army together, and to continue the fight against the British.
Yeah.
And part of that was the Continental Congress sent Benjamin Franklin over to France, who apparently was a notorious ladies' man over there.
Yeah. He made the like coon like hat things like really like popular over there.
Mhm.
Like everybody in France started wearing those.
Who is this that did that?
Ben Franklin.
Benjamin Franklin.
Okay.
Like being like the rough outdoors man kind of became like a fad out there.
Yeah. Smart guy. Apparently really good with women. Don't know how.
Do we have like paintings of him and stuff?
Well, I mean, he was like 70 when he went over.
He was
there, right?
old. But
so back in his prime, he was.
He was
He
just
was
witty,
stud.
wasn't he?
No, whenever
Yeah,
he was
he
in
was very
France, he
witty.
was 70.
He wrote
when he was
Poor
charming
Richard's-
ladies, he was 70.
Almanac, right? Poor
I
Richard
think so.
Almanac,
Mhm.
something like that. Early to bed, early to rise.
Yeah.
Telling you,
But
must
the
have been
thing
those
is,
glasses,
he didn't really live that. He was actually kind of a party guy.
Yeah, he was very much a party guy. So like, there's a thing with him and with the kite and the key, like with electricity.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
he convinced the French to help.
He was born in 1706. That's crazy. Okay, sorry, continue.
Yeah, and he lived all the way past when the Constitution was ratified.
Right.
So in the
Right, because he was there.
late 1780s.
Yeah.
But he convinced the French to give us supplies and to send their navy,
Which was massive.
which was massive.
Or I'm saying like the impact
Yeah.
of that was massive.
Well, that and just have it like we didn't have a navy, so and the British are famous for their navy.
yeah. Well, yeah. One, it gave us a navy. Two, I mean supplies. Three, they were like the first foreign nation to like recognize us as a nation.
They were, but most of that was just to screw over the British
Yeah, they didn't really care.
because like just before this they had the 7 Years' War, and King Louis was like, "Well, I get to screw over the British, right?
Right.
Okay,
Yeah,
I'll
say
help you."
less.
Didn't who did the Germans fight for? They fought for the British, right?
Yeah.
Is that what
They-
they took in Christmas Day?
Yeah,
Across the river?
they had mercenaries that helped the British.
Okay.
And it was those mercenaries that George Washington crossed the Delaware on Christmas Day, and just
Took out a bunch of them.
took out a bunch of them because the thing was you don't fight on Christmas
Yeah.
at night when it's freezing, let alone cross a river with ice.
Right. Just did not see it coming.
Yeah, and that's just most of the colony's fighting style is guerrilla tactics. So it's like a hit and run.
Yeah.
We'll hit you here, we'll run. Hit you here, run. Hit you here, run.
Yeah, I mean that strategy is still like used by militaries that are like smaller and like less
Mhm.
organized than like the big
Guerrilla.
big guy.
Because they wouldn't. I feel like I read this somewhere. British, they wouldn't hide behind cover. They'd
Mhm.
march in line,
Mm-hmm.
and they wouldn't wear camouflage. They wore the bright red coats.
Yeah,
Whereas we fought from cover or trees, and we were just wearing.
and nobody had a uniform.
Yeah,
Right.
we
Like-
would just wear whatever.
Yeah.
Like we'll see pictures of like the blue uniform. Most people did not have a blue
Yeah,
uniform.
maybe,
they were
maybe
just
some
dressing what they
officers,
had
But yeah,
with the gun they brought from home
right.
and firing at the British from the woods. And like just the way war was fought then is way different than it was now. It's like, okay, we're gonna line up in rows, we're gonna face each other in an open field, and we're just gonna shoot each other.
Yeah,
And whoever loses the most men
loses the war. Yeah,
loses that battle.
Just attrition.
but like Britain, they had like bayonets on like their guns, right? So like they'd lower them and they'd
Mhm.
charge into like the Americans, and even
Yep,
if the Americans
eventually.
had more people, like I mean, they're not trained soldiers. They got terrified and they'd run away. I think
Yep.
that happened a couple times.
Well, and just we didn't have enough ammunition to fight them either. Like the battle of Bunker Hill. Like the British had to run up this hill to try to take it. And one of the commanders said, "Don't shoot until you can see the whites of their eyes."
Classic line.
Yeah, because they had to conserve ammo. And the guns back then were
Missed by
Very-
5 feet.
very inaccurate.
Close.
Like you could be aiming at somebody 40 feet away and miss, like 5 feet to the right.
So how long? This is kind of a little off. How long after were the tipped bullets? Do you know made that was all muskets, right?
Mini balls.
Like was
Mhm.
that before Civil War or? Like,
It was before the Civil War.
Okay, so
Yeah, they
it was
had-
after Revolutionary War,
Yep.
before Civil War.
Side note, pivot. I think the back of a mini ball is caved out. I believe.
It's concaved.
Yep. And then when
Really?
they
Bert,
shoot.
can you look a picture up?
Yeah. So it looks like a bullet, like that we think of today.
Wait, you're talking about musket? Or are you talking about?
Yeah, it's still black powder. I think they still call these muskets because you load it down,
Yeah.
down the muzzle.
And
Or
there
muzzle
wasn't any
loaded.
Yeah, muzzle
there wasn't any rifling in the barrels
Yeah.
yet.
So when they would shoot these mini balls, this concaved rear of them would expand and they would grip the barrel, and it
Really?
would make
Make
them
it
a lot more
straighter.
accurate.
Okay.
Mhm. And then we found out if you make the bullets spin really fast,
Right.
So they get
They'll be even
really
more
That's when the
accurate.
rifle.
and that's where
Rifle.
rifling comes in,
Yeah.
and it's still used today on
Everything, I think.
everything, anything from your small 22 pistol to tanks.
Yeah.
Yeah, there might be smoothbore tanks. Yeah, they did use that, or they do
But
sometimes.
Yeah.
this war is purely musket balls. That's pretty
Musket
much all it
balls,
is.
round-
cannons.
round balls.
Hand forged.
And part of the reason we started winning was those guerrilla tactics. The British made some blunders, like they moved people to the wrong places at the wrong time.
Right, there was a famous miscommunication, right, with Horatio Gates is like up
Mhm.
north, and then Washington's army was down south, or maybe Washington's army moved down south to take out Lord Cornwallis or something.
Yep.
Yeah, but he had just like sent his guys up north to fight Gates.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Is it Yorktown? I think it's Yorktown.
Battle of Yorktown. Yeah, and we eventually started to siege Boston. So we got most of the British army in Boston, and we have artillery all the way around pointed at the city. And at that point, like, the people in Britain aren't very happy about this because it's a waste of money in their eyes.
What
Yeah.
year is this roughly?
When did the war end? It was 1784
Oh wow.
or something like that.
So it's been going on for
1781.
like 8 or 9
Oh,
years.
81.
That was when it took. That was Battle of Yorktown. I don't think that's when it ended, is it? Or is that the ending of the
Wait,
war?
I think that's
That-
the ending of the war.
That's what you're talking about.
So, Battle of Yorktown, and there's nowhere for the British to go. The king didn't really like it because it was emptying their pockets even more.
Right.
even though they're already hurting
okay. I
for
guess we
funds.
should say that that's another of the impact that like France had. Since France like entered the war, Britain had to pull some of their soldiers because they were worried about like France directly attacking Britain.
French invasion, and they had like America wasn't their only colonies. They
Right,
had
this
colonies
kind
in
of became
India.
a global war a little bit.
Yeah,
Huh.
they had, and to call it a revolution is a little much, because like in a revolution you overthrow the existing government.
Yeah, but there was
To
no
put-
government.
There's no
here.
government overthrow. It's more of a
Mm.
civil war.
Yeah,
in
because
essence.
after they pulled out many of their troops, I think they worked extra hard to recruit loyalists,
Mhm.
and so yeah, like you said, it was kind of a civil war.
Loyalists, Tories,
Yep.
whatever. But those people were found out pretty quickly, and they were beaten and tarred and feathered in the streets, and they either pretended not to support the crown or left altogether and just went back to Britain.
Yeah.
And so after the war ended, France helped us out a little more with some smaller things, but then France was also now hurting for money a lot.
Right.
And
Because
which
they had went out of the 7-year war
7 years
with
war
Britain, and then they
into the
joined
helping us
this.
with this. And
French
Now-
and Indian, was that part of that too? Was it French and Indian 7-year or
the
7
French
year?
and Indian War and the 7 Year War are
the same thing?
same time period. And now the French are hurting for money, and their lower class were going hungry, and they couldn't make any money, while they see the upper class, the aristocracy, thriving.
And this in America, that kind of gave them the lower class some ideas.
Yeah, and so they gave them ideas for revolution over there. But that's not until a little later, because now that the British are gone, we have the independence that we asked for.
Yep.
Now we have to get together and set up a government that everyone can agree on,
Yeah, if we're like, okay, we beat them. Now what?
which is really hard because at this time every single colony was pretty much like its own country. Like each one believed different things. They had their different laws, especially with regards to slavery.
Well, I mean, just think about the name, United States.
Yeah.
Like, it was like there were a bunch of individual countries that joined together for a unified cause of destroying this,
Mhm.
like overlord. And then like they were thinking that they just go off on their own and keep living.
Well, and the term United States didn't really show up until the Constitution,
Okay.
which was ratified in 1788.
So what
And-
would they call them? Colloquial America or colloquial?
So that would have been
A confederation.
Still the 13, right? Or was there more at this
It
point?
was just a 13.
Okay.
Even
Yeah, wasn't there a name for the 13 original? Or am I-
like it's just the 13 original colonies,
Okay.
but it was like the Articles of Confederation. That's what they came up with.
So that was after the war. That was 81.
Yep, that was after the war. I think it was like a year or two later, that the Articles of Confederation were put into place. So that's our first documented basis for government.
Okay.
Which,
Yeah, it looks like 1781. So
Yeah,
right whenever the war
1781.
ended.
so, and that government, so the way people were afraid of a monarchy, that was their biggest fear was,
Well, because that's what they had just taken.
that's
out.
what they just got rid of. Where there were some people that also thought it'd be a good idea to have a monarchy, and that was like the only way the government would work.
Right. Let's have our own monarchy.
Yeah, but so the Articles of Confederation, the way they're set up, is the federal government was super weak. Like they couldn't tax people.
But like the reason for that is because they had just been overtaxed.
Yep.
They've seen
Or
these
they believe-
powers manipulated.
Yep, they believe they've been overtaxed. They believe that a strong federal government would take away their rights, and so it sort of relied on, we'll give states most of the power.
Yeah.
But the problem with that is each state decided it wanted to have its own currency. Had its
That'd be
own
nice.
trade regulations, had its own taxes, so they try to tax each other. And so the federal government was taking on all the war debt.
Yeah,
But it couldn't-
Yeah, the currency was huge because all these soldiers they had not been paid.
Yeah, they have to pay all these soldiers, but they can't collect taxes, so they can't get money.
Exactly.
Wait, I'm sorry. What sort? Like
The
The
soldiers
soldiers
that fought
from
in
the
the
Revolutionary
Revolution.
War.
The American soldiers.
Mhm.
That. Okay.
Yeah, and
Because they couldn't pay them during
they had
the
not
war.
been paid, but also like
So what were they promised? Like, what did they think they were gonna like? They just thought at the end of the
They
war,
were, like-
everything was gonna settle and they're gonna get paid. That's
Well,
what
they were
thought
promised
the
like a
whole
pension after the war,
time.
but the federal government couldn't tax anybody, so they couldn't
Fund it.
get
pay
money.
for 'em, yeah.
I-
To pay
they
them.
did have currency though. It was like colonial dollars, but
Yeah.
they were it
It-
wasn't worth anything.
Because each state had their own currency.
Okay, that's what.
Each state was like has its own currency. Each state has its own militia. There's no national army.
Right.
So it's just it was basically just like a treaty of we'll all work together, but not too closely.
Was the land and the names the same as the states now?
Yeah.
For the most part.
Mm-hmm.
Virginia and West Virginia was just all
Yeah,
Virginia.
Just
It's just
Virginia.
Virginia. West Virginia didn't come out until the Civil War
Okay.
because it's like a split off from.
North
Virginia.
Yeah, north and south.
Are we gonna get Civil War in this one?
Probably
No,
not.
No.
Civil War. You could do like 3 podcasts on.
That's
Yeah.
interesting.
Well,
We'll do
good.
we'll do one in the future on the Civil War.
Okay, are we still kind of on the? Talking. Like, I don't know how long we were talking about the French.
No,
The
we're kind of on finances
Yeah.
right now.
Okay, wait, before we get too far into that, I have a hypothetical, theoretical question. I'm curious your thoughts on it. I was thinking about.
Mm-hmm.
Say theoretically, where do you think we'd be right now in this moment if the British had one singular AR, modern day AR with unlimited rounds? Do
That's
you
a good
think?
question.
I think it would swing the whole war. I think it would.
They had one AR.
One
They have
AR.
one AR.
Well, the unlimited rounds thing would be the thing,
Right.
but
Or just like a ton of rounds. Like to
you
where they
see,
wouldn't
the
run
thing
out.
is, you have to just kill the guy with the 1 AR, and then you take it, and then it's yours
Okay.
now.
But at the
That's
same time,
true.
if
If
you
they
see
took-
somebody
yeah.
with this piece of like this godsend, then you that would destroy all morale.
Well, the thing
Assuming
is,
the British keep it the whole time, I think
Yeah.
they could take out so much.
well, does the
damage.
AR need maintenance?
Okay, it's stuff like that. I'm saying just
Yeah.
theoretically,
Um,
if they could just use it as intended the whole time.
It would probably have made a difference.
Yeah.
But
just one
I
single
don't think it
round.
would have swung the war.
You
I
think
don't-
so?
I don't think
the
it
biggest
would've.
logistics is mobility.
Yeah,
Because if it's in one
Well,
spot,
yeah, you could take it
have
in one
to-
spot. You could mow everyone out and then get
But
transport to the next
that
spot.
means it's in this location. If
Well,
we're fighting in
that's the
another
whole thing
location-
with
Yeah.
with Yorktown, which was like the biggest win for us, was because like the British had the soldiers, but I think they had just sent like 20,000 soldiers like up north,
Mhm.
and they took the Americans took advantage of that opportunity and trapped the 8,000 soldiers remaining in Boston, and then I think
yeah, so like right there, whenever we surrounded
the British
Boston-
soldiers, the 20,000, they were all sailing back to help them, but the French Navy met them and actually destroyed them. On
Yeah,
the
destroyed most of the
Chesapeake
ships.
Bay.
Yeah.
And so, like at Yorktown, where the siege was, it's like you can't. All those soldiers had nowhere to go.
Yeah. So
And so
one
they-
AR would have
If
just.
the one dude running up a
obliterated.
hill, he could still get hit by a grape shot from a cannon.
Well, that
I've seen
and
that grape shot.
They were just. They had the cannon set so they could just shoot in the city, and from all
Yeah.
sides. And so they had nowhere to go. So they had no choice but to surrender,
Mhm.
or at least that portion of the army.
But I guess
And
the
whatever
point I
army-
was making was like the British had the numbers, but like it was because of mobility that we were able to
Yeah.
get that
Yeah,
victory.
okay.
They couldn't escape,
Yeah.
and so I'm not sure if an AR would.
No, it was a
Swing the
hypothetical.
war.
But I can see that it would have. That
Yeah.
was really impacted it. But,
Mhm.
random question.
It either would have or it would have
Done nothing.
It would have either.
Well, realistically, they're not going to know how to like. They have to get some gunsmith to try to
They're
figure
pretty
out how
smart.
it works.
I mean, they could
Eventually, they
figure
might
out
figure it
muscle.
out. Yeah. I don't know.
Mhm.
Oh, so you're even assuming they don't know how it works.
Well,
You're thinking like
I didn't think about the hypothetical that
Alright.
much. It's just
Yeah,
but,
'cause-
yeah.
yeah. I mean, they wouldn't have barrels to put on it because the barrel would go bad
That's true.
after like 10,000 rounds.
a lot of guys.
Well, that's assuming that you're
10,000
hitting
rounds
every
is a
single
lot of-
guy.
A lot of deaths. A lot
That
of
is a lot of
casualties.
death. Yeah.
That's crazy. This is a definitely
Go for it.
tangent. I've seen so many I have seen on Instagram several people getting shot recently. I don't know why. and you would be surprised at how many times people get hit before they go down.
Oh, it's insane.
Did you see the school shooting one with the teacher?
Yeah.
And the shotgun?
I mean, you couldn't even tell he got hit.
Yeah. Or it was a lady, right? Or am I
Okay,
thinking
I
wrong?
saw one with the principal.
What is it recently with all these videos like on TikTok and Instagram going
Yeah.
on? Like, how's that?
And I don't know.
It's because
Apart from me.
they're not censored as much anymore.
Yeah.
So
It's
people can
becoming
post
X.
whatever they want.
It's
No,
becoming,
I've
it's
seen-
becoming Twitter.
I've seen guys literally walking up to a police, getting mag dumped,
What?
and
Yeah.
he's just yelling at the guy, and it's like you can see
They're
him like
taking
kind
it
of
like the
not to be
movies.
graphic.
It's
Yeah.
called drugs.
yeah.
PCP is
it's,
probably.
it's crazy,
Yeah.
like you said, like how much like the human body can like take, like how many bullets it takes to until they
Actually
fall
kill
down.
you.
But at the same time, it's crazy sometimes just how fragile human life is. Like just
Mhm.
one hit to the perfect spot of the head, and the dude's just instantly dead. You're like,
Yeah.
wait, what?
Yeah, yeah. I don't know. It's like, or there's been several, and it like sometimes people will, like they get shot and they just keep shooting back at the police, and like they slowly. Like,
You really think
walk
it is
down.
drugs? Like that would.
Oh, 100%.
Drugs are just amped up on adrenaline.
Like PCP, like they don't feel pain, they don't feel anything.
Yeah, I've
But-
heard,
That's crazy.
I've heard rounds of like, because 9mm would probably do quite a bit.
Oh,
just
it'll-
a brute force, but they have like there's rounds designed to penetrate
The hollow
plate
points.
armor. Oh, I was thinking like plate armor
Yeah.
ammo, and I think I heard a story of some dude clearing a house and some druggie charged him, and he said he literally dropped the whole mag on him, and the dude was like still standing.
Wow.
That's
Like
insane.
the bullets just literally.
Because
went
as long as
straight
it
through him.
doesn't
That's
hit
what-
your nerves that'll tell your brain to tell your legs to stand, then you're fine.
Mm-hmm.
That's
Right.
what cocaine
you're-
does to you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, you're dead. Like,
Right.
well, I don't. You're
That's true.
gonna be dead, but it doesn't
until
kill
you
you
actually
instantly.
bleed out,
you
yeah.
die of blood loss or some other horrible.
Mm-hmm.
But-
That's another interesting history topic is history of drug use and war.
That actually would be an interesting.
So
topic.
yeah, wait. What about this war? What do they have for this? For pain? Someone gets his leg chopped
nothing.
off. They go. They
No, they
sit you
just
down.
they give you a stick to bite on, and
Morphine
That's
invented yet?
crazy.
no. Even in the Civil
That's
War,
crazy.
they had like an anesthetic that would put you to sleep, but it was so dangerous because they couldn't get the dosages right. So you had like a 50 chance of it being good and 50 chance of you just dying
Are
because
you
your heart
taking the
stops.
dose?
Oh man.
What? You're saying 50 chance to die, 50 chance to live. Otherwise, you just live in pain and then die eventually anyway.
Well, I mean, either way, your leg's getting chopped off.
Yeah.
So they could do it to you while you're awake, which they did to some people.
And
Quite a
that's
few.
where they like
Quite a
give you a
few.
stick to chew on.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh man.
I mean, and maybe at that point you have so much adrenaline in your system, you're
Or
just
you're so. Or
so
your-
out
your
of it in shock.
Legs already so rotted off, or
I mean,
awful.
This just turned really
terrible.
gory.
I just hope I pass out at that
Yeah.
point.
I mean,
Yeah.
during this time, more people were dying of sickness than anything.
Mhm.
Like
Yeah.
tuberculosis was killing so many people. So more than any war.
Shout out Red Dead. No spoilers. I got TB, Dutch.
Hmm.
You also wonder if people were just tougher back then. Not to be like simping on, but like if you just come out of a battle and like who knows how much burns or scars or cuts you'd already had, and like if your body was in already so much trauma that you wouldn't really care.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know.
Yeah, but then also kind of like what Garrett said, I think the medicine was just horrible, and like the
Oh.
doctors were like not kind of non-existent.
Well, I
so
mean-
like after if you would get wounded, like you had a
Well,
much
they didn't
higher-
understand bacteria until way later, right?
Way later.
Yeah. Like
After Civil War.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And like your life expectancy back then was way lower anyway. Like you weren't making it. You're most likely not making it past 50.
Crazy.
But like George Washington, Ben Franklin, they lived for a long time.
Hmm.
yeah.
Yeah.
No, I think my point on that was like being tougher as in like now to think of just getting strapped down and getting your leg cut off with nothing. It seems like the
Well, 'cause
most
we're-
insane cartel torture possible.
Mhm.
Right.
But like back then, if their medicine was literally you had a blood disease to cut you open, let you bleed out for a while, which I don't know if
Yeah.
they're still practicing. Like the thought of getting an amputation might not have been so shocking. Or like, oh, Joe got
Well-
his arm pitched and or stepped on by a horse and they had to just cut it off.
Yeah.
Or now they're like, oh, we set it and we put it in
Right,
a cast.
Yeah.
And then you
Right.
get in. Like now, I could cut off my finger. We could run to the ER real quick, and they could reattach it, and it
Right.
would work fine.
Which is insane.
Like just the thought, the whole sphere of medicine, like an amputation might have been more common, and like the soldier might not be as afraid. I mean, I probably was still
Mhm.
terrifying.
That's fair.
You know what I'm saying?
Well,
Yeah, it's more normal.
Yeah.
Because it's
Well,
more common.
I don't know. It would make sense. I don't know actually. 'Cause
Yeah.
now it seems like, all right, doc, just let me die. Like you'd feel like that would kind of be the common consensus. But maybe back then they're like, oh, we gotta amputate it. It's like,
Yeah.
oh darn, I'm gonna be like Joe or Steve or.
It's gonna be like Jeff down the road.
Yeah, yeah.
Joe on Family Guy.
Yep.
He has legs though, doesn't he?
He does have those.
Yeah,
sometimes.
but he's in a wheelchair.
I've seen so many graphic things of him losing his legs. It's like,
It's funny.
anyway.
Yeah, we were on talking about like the financial situation of like
Yeah. I mean, a federal government that can't tax, even though it sounds like it'd be awesome, they can't do anything for you if they can't get can't tax.
Right.
And so that was part of the reason why the third, whichever Continental Congress came together and was like kind of illegally and kind of secretly, and was like, hey, we need to do something different. This isn't working.
I think it was like really, really hot that day.
Oh, it
Like,
was really hot the
even
entire
hotter
time.
than in here. But they kept all doors and windows closed because
So
it was
people
like so
can't.
secret.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so they met in Philadelphia. And for like, I think it was from June until September, they met almost every day
Wow.
trying to like come up with a document.
Because
That
like
would-
all these guys were on the same side, like all the founding fathers. But dude, there was such a wide variety of
there's-
opinions.
Because, like, if you read the Constitution, so there's something for that, like, sets up the legislator and how it'll work. So, like, we have a bicameral legislator, House and the Senate.
Yep.
There's something for the executive. How is that going to work? What are their responsibilities going to be? What are their powers? And then there's something for the judiciary, so the Supreme Court. Like, this is how the judges will be, like, put into office. This is what their job is, blah, blah, blah. So they had all that set up. But during the biggest issue during the Constitutional Convention was slavery. Because there's a small group of people that they weren't abolitionists yet, but they were as close to abolitionists as you were going to
They
get.
were very against the practice.
They were very against the practice.
Alexander Hamilton was one of them.
He was one of them. Gouverneur Morris.
Yeah. Or I thought it was governor. Is it governor?
It's Gouverneur. That's
Oh,
how it's
okay.
pronounced. But governor sounds a little better, doesn't it?
Yeah.
But
That's
him,
his first name.
he was
Oh.
like the biggest opponent at the convention
Opponent of slavery or
of slavery. He wanted
He was
it gone.
against
Yeah,
against
okay.
the practice.
Most speeches he gave were how slavery was an evil and that it should not be allowed in the United States. Yeah, he's an interesting guy. He had a peg leg, and
I remember hearing about this
he was
guy.
super tall, and apparently he was a ladies' man, but he could never settle down.
So many of those guys were.
Yeah, except for James Madison, he was
Yeah.
the exact opposite.
Yeah. Probably not John Adams either. He wasn't very charismatic.
No, but then there were people from the South that their entire economy and livelihood depended on slavery.
Oh yeah.
And whenever they were setting up the legislator and the executive and how are, or well, at least the legislator, how are because the House is based on population.
Right. That was a huge thing because like a lot of the big states like New York or Virginia, they were like, hey, we should have like the laws should be passed by like population. I mean, obviously, like
Mhm.
however large your population is, you should get
So many votes.
yeah,
for-
that should be worth so many votes.
I forget. I think it's like for every 4,000 people, you get one representative
something
or something.
like that.
Maybe I forget. It's so many thousand people, you get a vote in the House. But the southern and part of the argument was, do slaves count towards that population?
Oh,
The northern
But
states,
the southern states were like, yeah.
yeah, the southern states were like,
no,
yes, they're here.
This has that weird.
Wait,
law,
but that would be bad for them because the slaves. Well, okay, but they wouldn't vote.
but their
No,
population's
no.
really
Because-
high, so they get a lot
But
of
they-
representatives.
they
They
won't
don't
If
actually
you're,
get a
a
vote.
slave owner, you don't just have one vote; you have 30 because you
Yeah.
have 20
Well,
million slaves.
That
Sure.
you want your slaves. The states want the slaves to count towards the population because
Just for
then they get
numbers.
more votes in Congress.
Mhm.
But the northern states are like, oh, but they're not
Right.
citizens, so they shouldn't count. And so that's where we
This is
get the
crazy.
3/5 compromise. So for the 3/5 of all the slave populations in the South counts towards the population.
The
So
slave is
3 out of every 5.
A slave is only 3/5 human.
This is pretty much what they're saying.
That is what they're saying.
And that, to this day, is written in the Constitution.
Really?
Yeah. It is a
Can't
slave.
escape it.
We
It
gotta
is a
pull that
slave
up.
document.
We gotta pull this up. I want to read the words.
That's crazy.
Pull up the 3/5 compromise in the Constitution.
But
That's
then
so
also,
wild.
like, they made a compromise by obviously having the Senate and then the House of Representatives. Every state gets 2 senators,
Yep.
and then the representatives is based off the population.
Because they sort of couldn't decide of should it be based on population per state but every state wants to have a vote.
Right.
Or wants it to be a fair vote.
That's the thing. There was not a single founding father that walked away from this feeling like having 100% of his like opinions and beliefs out
no.
there.
That's so.
There were
None of them.
so many compromises, so many that
That's
nobody
so
was
impressive.
completely happy, but everybody was satisfied.
Yeah. Well, and some people weren't even satisfied because some people left the convention not even signing the document.
Oh, really?
That even though they put so much work into it and even maybe helped write the final draft or
Who would be an example? Not
I
to put you
can't
on the
I can't
spot.
think of
Yeah, that's
anybody
fine.
else.
So how many total founding fathers were there? Is it?
I'm not sure because to have a delegation, each state had to have like 4 people.
Okay, I guess like who? Because this was kind of the first, like the first form of government, right?
This is the second. So we had the Articles of Confederation.
Okay.
Was
So,
on
but
that
like,
thing.
who's just deciding who is a founding father?
Bert,
Who's deciding
look
who's
up
in on it?
It's-
how many people were at the Continental Congress.
Because like they're the ones making the rules essentially. So who's making the
Yeah.
rules for them to be a part of the making the rules?
Oh, nobody. It's kind of illegal.
Okay.
This was
But-
kind of like the I don't know, elite group of leaders.
Yeah.
I mean, more or less.
Like
yeah,
the
it's just
political
interesting how
intellects.
yeah.
how they were the ones that were chosen.
Our very representative government was formed by people that were not represented or like were not voted.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Correct.
Well,
But at
and-
the same time, there's no way people would have like been able to settle on.
Yeah.
No.
This is really the only way they could have.
Looks
done
like
it.
there's 56. 56
56
delegates.
delegates.
But they were equally represented per state. Except Delaware. I don't think Delaware. had any
Delaware,
people.
New York, they didn't send enough. Like New York, only Alexander.
Or was it Rhode
Alexander
Island?
Hamilton
Or was it Rhode
there.
Island?
It was Rhode Island.
Rhode
And Rhode
Island?
Island didn't send anybody.
Yeah, they didn't have anybody there.
Because they were like, no, this is stupid. I'm not doing that. And to have a delegation, you had to have so many people. So New York didn't even have a vote whether the final document would be the final.
So there was
document.
no like arguing like in these states like who are the representatives from these states because like there's no one voting on them. There's no one. It's just like the most elite
That,
person.
that would have been unique then, because we, like that whole system of voting your representative
Right,
was
that wasn't
introduced
normal.
by this.
Like each.
Oh,
what
so
they're
they were
writing.
voted. These people were voted. From
I
the
wouldn't say
states,
they're voted.
No,
I'd
but
say,
like that whole thought of voting in a representative
which didn't exist.
came from these. Well, on our modern sense, came from what they were writing.
yeah.
Yeah,
Does that make sense?
yeah. So I'm just saying like
So-
the people that were chosen to be there.
But
They weren't
didn't-
voted
what
by
Seth
the
is
weren't
saying-
voted. It was probably just a group of people that agreed that he should.
What
go.
Seth is saying is that like the citizens, like the normal people, they wouldn't even think twice about this. They're like, oh yeah, they should be
They
there.
literally lived with a king. Like
Mhm.
these people came up with the idea.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know. It probably existed in other forms.
It
of
did.
government.
Well,
Gre-
like
Greece and
there's
Rome.
Athens.
Yeah.
But like they had pure democracy, which would never work in a population this big.
No.
Because if everybody had to vote on every single decision, all we would do is vote all the time,
Yeah.
and nothing would get done.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we're technically not a democracy. We're a constitutional republic, or a
Okay.
democratic republic.
Okay.
So we
Vote on people to make.
we
decisions.
vote on people to make the decisions for us.
Yeah.
So,
Which I mean is genius. Like I mean it's
yeah.
it's really a great system. That's
Mhm.
that's the only reason America's survived 250 years.
Well,
It's
and
because like the core of it.
and the document these people wrote is the longest lasting written constitution in history in any nation ever.
Isn't it the second longest? I think Massachusetts I think is the longest.
I'm saying country.
Okay.
Okay.
So France, Britain, Germany, none of them have as long lasting of a written constitution as we do.
Which is crazy.
So
And-
they rewrote theirs after we.
Well, they actually wrote it. Like they had like their common law, which wasn't written down.
Yeah, baby.
Yep.
We like
Honestly,
that.
it just gets you so like visiting Washington D.C., seeing
Patriotic.
all these, yeah, it's just so
Mhm.
cool.
So yeah, we went in like 8th grade. I wish I want to go like now that I'm.
I know,
I
bro.
would,
That's
I
what
would
I'm
like
saying.
it so much more if I went. Now.
I didn't appreciate
Yeah,
it.
I know.
Really,
Yes.
I felt very emotionally impacted.
Yeah.
From
I mean, you're
my
like 2 years
Washington
older
trip.
than me. You're probably 10th, 9th. Yeah, you'd have been 9th grade,
Mhm.
but
Yeah, that was like one of the most impactful trips I've ever
Yeah.
done.
There were some places we visited that was really cool, but there were other places like the Washington Monument. I got nothing out of that.
Well,
it
and
just
cool to, like,
felt
see it.
sacred almost. Like
Yeah.
it sounds like sacrilegious
Yeah.
to say it.
makes
but
you
it's
want to
like-
watch National Treasure.
National-
Yeah, I didn't even know if I'd seen that at the time. It's just
What?
it's just
Well, and this would be the year to do it because this year's the 250th anniversary.
Oh
Of
yeah,
the United States.
Bro.
every
Cool.
person in my family is going besides me this year.
dang.
Really?
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Because you can like email your representative, and you can get tickets to tour the state house.
Really.
That's
I'm not
sick.
sure if they do it now, but you could get tours of the White House,
Wow.
Oh,
which I did that, and that was awesome.
you gotta go into the White House.
Hmm
No
Wait,
way.
the
man.
State House is that? Or no, that was the governor's mansion we toured
Yeah.
that one time.
Yeah.
The White House is awesome.
Yeah.
That is awesome.
So much historical, like stuff there, like the portraits of all the presidents. They had like Abe Lincoln's china and cabinets there.
That's so cool. Actually, that would probably be a good story to get into. The compromise that Jefferson made with Hamilton on like where the U.S. Capitol should be.
Oh, because everybody wanted the capital moved so many times. Like it was in Philly, and then like New York for a little bit, and then
Thank goodness it's not
somewhere
so-
else,
Oh, feels
Thank
like Philly right now.
and then eventually, and then there's a fight of okay, should it be in Virginia or should it be in Maryland?
Basically north or
Which state
south.
are we putting this in? Maryland wanted it to be in Maryland. Virginia wanted to be in Virginia, and so the Washington D.C. District of Columbia, it's in between those two states.
Yeah.
And at the time, it's a swamp. It's a piece of useless land, and so they had to build it up.
Was it owned by George Washington?
It was, I believe, it was owned
Okay.
by George Washington. And he's like, okay, I have no use for this land. I can't do anything with it.
How many square miles? Like, how big is DC? Because I don't think about it that often, but like, it literally is not a state, right? DC,
No.
No.
District of Columbia is just.
Yeah, hey, hey Bert, can you look that up?
States, kind
Wasn't
of.
wasn't there a big push recently?
How,
to
how
make
many
it the
how
51st
many
state?
acres or
Or
like how
add
large was
representation
the
or
original
Probably. I think
couple
they
years
ground for
back.
DC?
I think they do
Or
have a
even like
representative.
nowadays, how big is the District of Columbia? That's I'm just curious. Like, I want to compare it to like a big city. Like, is it a city size?
68 square miles.
I don't know how to judge. That seems pretty small. It's like
It's probably about the size of Fort Wayne.
Fort Wayne. Okay. Hmm.
But yeah,
That's
it was a swamp, and they just they like built the original White House, which later got burned
Rest in
down.
peace. Stupid French.
No, that was
And
the
they-
British.
No, that was Canadians, wasn't it?
Now that's the British.
Really?
British burned down the White House in
But,
1812.
Well, didn't we burn something in Canada and then they got mad and came down and burned something in here?
Yeah,
Or
because
just
the British had control of Canada at that time.
Actually, that's another thing. Whenever we went after the war, whenever we sent like delegates to Britain to like negotiate, we wanted them to like acknowledge us as a country. One of
Mhm.
like the things that they were supposed to push, like our delegates, was we were supposed to be like, hey, we want Canada.
Oh, they tried to take Canada, and then in the War of 1812, there's a big push to take Canada. Didn't work.
Right. It just seemed like God really didn't want us to have
No.
Canada.
I mean,
One day we'll get you.
well, and if you look at Canada now, it's like
Yeah.
90% of the population lives within 100 miles of the U.S. border.
Is that actually true?
Yeah.
yeah,
That's crazy.
Well, I
Yes.
guess you got Toronto's.
Toronto,
Where's
uh,
Quebec?
Montreal.
I mean, that's a
Yeah.
territory. I
very
guess.
close. Yeah.
so Vancouver, you're looking at most of the population lives super close to the U.S. border.
That's really funny.
I mean, it makes sense. It really does.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's really cold. Very, very cold.
Very cold, and like you can't really do anything with the northern territories all that much. There's a few people that live up there, but like
That's the Eskimos.
And it's so much area too. Like, if you
Oh,
think
they're-
about that compared
Oh,
to
it's,
the U.S.,
it's larger
like,
than the United States.
yeah,
Well, yeah, but like even just northern Canada is larger than the U.S. Like the part where hardly anyone lives.
yeah, it's just not possible. Well, and it just getting things. If you tried to develop it, it just costs too much. It's not
Yeah.
worth it.
So you can probably buy land up there pretty cheap, can't you? You think, or is it just a bunch of?
It's probably not
farmers that just
it's
own-
probably not a bunch of national forests.
Oh, you think?
So it's all protected.
Probably a lot of hunting ground.
Probably a bunch of
Hmm.
It's pretty much like what Alaska is to the U.S. because most of Alaska is national
Yeah.
forests.
Hmm.
Yep.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's a push to some people want to try to take over Canada during the War of 1812, but
What is Canada's, briefly, what is their origin story? Were they settled around the same time as...
Well, you had said
Yeah.
earlier that the French had owned them.
Yeah, I thought it was
French did, and then they didn't.
Because that's where Quebec is French, like the name.
Yeah,
And
like-
they speak French.
and
English.
French Canadians, they speak French. Yeah, and in a lot of the U.S., like in Indiana, the original European settlers here were French.
Oh, interesting.
It's like
So,
Lafayette. and-
French.
Hmm.
Well, that was more the
Like,
Revolutionary
isn't the
commander.
name Lafayette?
No,
Yeah.
Lafayette was like the main general that France sent to like help George Washington in the
Yeah, but he was French.
he was Prussian.
Yeah, he was French. Oh, really?
Oh, boy.
Wait, what? Did not know that.
Yeah,
Well, don't we have that little city name, like a town named French? French Indiana?
French Lick?
Lick. Yeah.
Is there one just called French, too?
Yeah, because we like to
maybe
lick French.
There's Santa Claus,
What are we
So-
doing? What are we doing?
but yeah,
This
and-
one got bluffed in. What are we
Ooh, that's
yeah,
what are
what's
we-
that?
doing?
Okay, speaking of small towns in Indiana or cities in Indiana, it was Fort Wayne Civil War, right? That's where they got the name for Fort
Mad
Wayne. Is
Anthony
that-
Wayne. No, bro,
Mad-
he settled. He was a general
That was
in the
from this,
Revolutionary
too?
War.
That was
Really?
before.
And after the war, he went out
Yep.
west on like a conquest and established a fort.
It was originally a
Really?
French fort called Fort Miami.
So cool.
The one in Fort Wayne?
hmm
Really?
So Fort Miami was French controlled. It was basically just a bunch of fur traders and
Dude,
Yeah.
you know like the Mad Ants, or like I mean that's like
Yeah,
Yeah,
Mad
Mad
yeah,
Anthony,
it's
yeah.
yeah based off of him, Mad
Yeah.
Anthony Wayne.
Miami County.
So
Yep.
cool.
so there's like the Miami and Potawatomi tribes were around here, and
So what battle? Was there a battle that occurred at the
No.
fort or anything? It was
Mhm.
just a fort for...
it's just the French lost it, and then the British lost it, and then
we got it. And then we named a city after it.
and then
Well, it
Or
became a
it turned
city.
into a city, yeah.
Was it already
Yep.
called Fort Wayne?
Fort Wayne's like the fort. So
Yeah,
If
you
you've
still
ever-
see it.
if you've ever been to the old fort,
Mhm.
that's the fort.
I've
They're
driven
And
like
past it.
rebuilding it or something. I saw
Yeah.
the construction.
And the city was sort of built around it, mostly by just settlers. So like first Baptist settlers came to convert the Indians to Christianity.
Yeah.
That's their big thing. And then some Germans came here. A guy named Henry Rudisill. Like, have you ever heard of Rudisill Road?
No,
that
we're
name
not-
sounds
Is there
familiar.
Rudisill Boulevard too?
Yeah, that guy Henry Rudisill came to the area and was just to like develop it, and he brought a bunch of German immigrants, which most of them were Lutheran or Catholic. So that's why most of Fort Wayne and like us are of German descent.
Hmm.
It's because
Look up all the churches in Fort Wayne.
it's called the City of Churches.
There's
There's
actually like I
No.
thought it was something
Is
like
that
Yeah.
actually?
there's like
So cool. There's so many steeples.
Like downtown. Like,
Mm-hmm.
There's like 3 churches per mile or something.
See if you can see any images or go to images, because we got some really cool ones.
Yeah, like the Immaculate Conception. That's a really cool one.
Wow, those are all
Oh, wait,
cool.
That was this.
Yeah.
Those are cool.
Trinity, St. Paul's. I'm pretty sure that's the first Lutheran church
Wow.
in northern Indiana.
Huh.
St. Paul's is sweet. That's really
Yep.
cool architect. Gothic.
Dude, cathedrals in general are just really cool. Like the architecture of it.
They put a lot of work into
The
them.
stained glass and everything.
Mhm.
Sick.
And it's really beautiful.
Yeah, I'm writing a paper right now over Fort Wayne.
Really?
Really?
The religious history of Fort Wayne.
Wow.
Oh, that's interesting.
Mhm.
Is that like your thesis or something?
Yeah, it's gonna be like 35 pages.
Oh gosh.
For funsies?
No, for a class, I would never write 35
35
pages for funsies.
pages.
Oh, okay.
I thought you graduated.
No,
I probably didn't write 35 pages in like all of like my high school career.
Probably not.
Honestly, it was probably close to that. Probably not even.
ChatGPT,
I
bro.
don't know, the rap questions kind of added up. I'm gonna tell you.
Every week.
That's brutal, man.
There, nonprofit organizations, including roughly.
Should we talk a little bit about like the Federalists versus the Democratic Republicans and
Oh, sure.
like kind of as a closing or toward the end?
Like you look the Federalist, so you're looking at like John Adams, and then on the other side you're looking at Thomas Jefferson.
Well, these are like as a result of like after the Continental Congress,
After the Congress,
the state people who were like state rights.
Thomas Jefferson.
Thomas Jefferson.
Then he had the federal government, which is John Adams.
Yeah, they were like, we need a strong central government.
And this is sort of where we get like the two parties we have today. So like the
Yeah.
Democratic and Republican.
And dude, I was listening to like, bro, we think that politics are brutal now.
Oh no, they were super.
Dude, there were actual like brawls like in Congress. Like they would just be full out punching each other.
There's like around like maybe 20 years before the Civil War, there's an incident of a Southern representative beating another guy with a cane. And
Oh,
he
man.
broke his cane, and then apparently a bunch of people heard about it and sent him more canes.
That's crazy.
His name was Arthur Kane.
But yeah. And George Washington, being the first president of the United States,
Technically, he was not either. Technically, but
he was not.
he
He,
was
did not have a
definitely-
party.
he was
and-
definitely more on the Federalist side.
Well, we needed a strong federal government then.
So he was.
And
I should know this because it seems like basic history. But he was voted in. He was the first voted in president.
Unanimously.
Okay.
Oh,
The
he
only
was
unan-
he was the
He was
only guy.
one running. Like he was the only option.
He could have been king, couldn't he? if
Oh,
he
yeah.
really
Yeah.
wanted to.
Well,
Well, there
'cause
was-
he was the only guy that like didn't, like I said, he wasn't on either side. He was the only people that both sides respected.
And there was like no limit on how many terms he could do as president. He could have went forever.
Well, how old
But-
was he when he first went in?
I'm
Or
not. I'm
up
not
there.
exactly sure,
Oh,
but
dude, he was like falling apart
Yeah.
whenever he went in.
whenever he went out, he was pretty much done.
He had like no teeth.
He had no teeth during the Revolution.
Well,
either.
didn't he have like wooden teeth or something? wooden
mainly
benches?
goat teeth and teeth of slaves.
I think he had like
Oh.
grout and yeah, dude, he was falling apart.
Yeah,
Yeah, he's
but
there's like
yeah,
no flaw in George Washington, bro.
it wasn't until the 22nd Amendment that it's now law that you can only be president for 2 terms, or run for 2 terms as president.
Oh, really?
So-
So
But
they,
there was
they
no
were just doing,
presidents before that ran
well,
for.
they were just
more
doing
than-
that out of respect for
George
Washington's
Washington.
precedent. right?
And up until FDR, who
Did
won 4 times,
Oh, 4.
Really?
then he died in office. So yeah,
Oh, you're right.
so he never.
So he was president for
completed.
like 16 issues.
Yeah,
Wow.
he was
Boy.
there for a long time.
He was that. That was a crazy.
I mean, he was
that
World
was a
War II
crazy
time.
But George Washington, he warned against having a 2-party system.
Yeah.
Which, looking at it now, you can see why. Because it
Yeah.
limits options. Because now everybody has to choose whether they want to be a Republican or a Democrat, even though they may not agree
All the way with either.
wholly all the way.
Well, it
either
was
with either
another
one.
thing back then. The runner-up to presidency, like the winner would become
Was vice
president. The
president.
second place would become the vice
Vice
president.
president. And they would often be opposites, and they'd often hate each other.
Really? Oh, I didn't know that. That's crazy.
Mhm.
Imagine Kamala and Trump are just like together.
No.
It would be like that.
And
Like,
it wasn't
I think
until-
George Washington.
They'd
His,
both be trying to sabotage each other the
Yeah,
whole time.
I think it was like the 12th Amendment that changed that.
Wow.
I think Washington's he named Alexander Hamilton as like his Secretary of Treasury,
Yeah.
and then Thomas Jefferson, who is like did not get along with Hamilton at all, became Secretary of State.
Mm-hmm.
But like
I
I think they both left him in his second term, because like they were just fed up with it.
Yeah, that and then John Adams became the second president of the United States.
Because he was vice president and
He
For
was vice
Washington?
president for Washington, I believe.
Wait, is John Adams' full name John Quincy Adams?
No,
That's
that's, a
a
different
separate-
Adams. That's
okay.
a different John
'Cause
Adams.
he was actually president, John Quincy, right?
Mm-hmm. He was also president.
Not John Adams.
it's his
Not-
son.
Oh.
The first John Adams was not like he was around the time of Washington, right? But
He
He's
was
the
he was
second
the second
president.
president.
John Quincy Adams.
They were both.
So there's two John.
Yeah, there's 2 John Adams.
John Adams was the second president, and his son John Quincy Adams, I believe, was the 6th president.
I don't think they. I think they were cousins.
Oh wait, what? I always thought. Oh, that's interesting. Yep, you are right.
Yeah.
Dang it.
Wait, there have been only 2 father-son pairs.
Oh! It is a father-son.
Are they?
Yes.
Man, I was wrong.
Wow.
Wait. George
Wow.
H.W. Bush and George W. Bush are I'm just kidding.
Wow.
I
I get those too, except they're
that would be
Yeah.
crazy if you
people
didn't
to
know
me.
But John Adams and Thomas Jefferson hated each other.
Really?
Yeah. And after after John Adams' first, or was it his first term or second term was over?
Well, he never had a second term.
Yeah, his first term was over. Jefferson ran for president.
Well, actually, back up a
Yeah,
little bit.
but-
John Adams was the second president because he was another one of those guys that both sides could kind of
Kind
Did
of
he
respect
lean-
a little
did
bit.
he lean more towards state?
He
or
was
federal?
technically
He's a
like the
Federalist.
head of the Federalist Party.
Yeah.
So, okay.
However, whenever he was in office, was it the Sedition Act, or he did something that ticked off the Federalists, and they all just like hated him. And then the Democratic Republicans, I mean, obviously didn't like him because they were supporting Thomas Jefferson and Aaron Burr. So then the election of 1800, which is I think
Yeah.
where you're getting.
Well, and there's a like Aaron Burr and like the way they vote for president's not like how we do it now. They didn't have the electoral college or anything. It's basically the representatives of each state would cast a vote for who they wanted to be president, or who they wanted for each party and to be president. And Aaron Burr and Thomas Jefferson,
They're both Democratic Republicans.
they were both Democratic Republicans, and they were, I believe, they tied.
Well, the Democratic Republicans they were all like, okay, let's get Jefferson to be president, and we want Burr to be vice president. I mean, in an ideal world,
Mhm.
that's what they wanted, but that's it's
Well-
second place becomes vice president.
Yeah, that, and so there's a big thing of Jefferson or Burr. They're so close. And it was Alexander Hamilton who was
A Federalist.
he was a Federalist, like a strong Federalist. He couldn't be president himself because he wasn't born
Oh,
in the
really?
United States.
Wait, Washington would have been born in the United States?
I don't know. I'm not sure how that worked, but he couldn't.
Or maybe it was
He
a new
couldn't
thing.
run.
It might
was
have
like
been
a
new
thing because he was born in the Caribbean.
Bro, his
Hamilton
story
was.
So it wasn't even British.
his
He wasn't.
story is insane.
Really?
Yeah.
Insane. He watched his mom die, like they were both sick, and like his family died. He was like, he worked for like slave owners.
At
and-
a cane.
yeah,
sugar
then he would
farm.
like read any book that he could, but whenever he was like 16 or something, he wrote a paper or like an article for the paper, and everybody on the island realized how like smart he was, and they like put up a collection to send him off to America to get an education,
Really?
thinking that he would come back and like
Save them.
save
Yeah.
them.
I'm out of
He
here,
never came
boy.
back.
No, he never came back.
Instead, he graduated pretty quickly. Fought in the American Revolution
At like 18 years old.
at 18 years old. Helped write the Constitution.
He's like the best writer of like the century.
Yeah. Even though he didn't, it was Governor Morris is the one that actually wrote the final draft.
The Federalist Papers.
He did write a bunch of he wrote like
He wrote 51
51 of-
essays
yeah.
defending the Constitution.
So to get states to ratify it.
Well, that's what, when you're talking about people electing, were the people that would have voted on the states ratifying it.
It was the legislators. So they basically
And would
sent
they have been elected?
yes,
So they wrote this document,
and they sent it to each state.
and every state had elected representatives, and they agreed on it. So that's where
Mhm.
people.
Okay.
Yeah, they
And-
created this thing, then sent it off to the states, and the states had to pass it, or like I think 9 states had to pass it.
9 states had to pass it for it to be, and that didn't happen until 1788. So
Right,
it's like
but
2
these
years
Federalist
after.
Papers helped a lot because I mean, obviously back then, what do you have? Like you're
Mhm.
starting a country, you're gonna read every essay or everything you have on. So
Yeah.
like these convinced a lot of people.
Yeah.
Yep, and Hamilton was not a fan of Jefferson at all, and he knew Aaron Burr and like fought in the Revolution with Aaron Burr. So they were-
Burr didn't really fight very much.
Nah, not very much, but they were sort of close. They knew each other, but Hamilton convinced people to vote for Jefferson
Mm-hmm.
because he thought Jefferson would because he said Jefferson like actually had convictions.
Right, because the whole thing with Aaron Burr is he would just kind of like slide under the radar,
Yeah.
never really pick one side or the other, and just like
He
you know,
wouldn't make a
yeah.
change.
he
and he's
didn't
like-
have, or he never voiced his beliefs or his opinions.
which led to the famous duel of Aaron Burr and Alexander
Okay,
Hamilton.
so Burr got mad at Hamilton for endorsing.
Well,
Burr
no,
endorsed
Burr and Jefferson tied, and so like for I think months, like
Yeah.
they were like debating like how to break this tie. I think they voted like 30 times,
Yeah,
and
it was a
it just
tie.
came out tie, and they just kept voting,
And
it was just
Hamilton
tie.
finally
and
was like,
But his own
Convi-
party, the Democratic Republicans, they were so mad at Burr because they were like, "Bro, this was the plan. You're supposed to step aside
Yeah.
and let Jefferson be president." But he wouldn't do it.
and so, but then finally Hamilton's like, hey, he convinced one or two people to vote for Jefferson, broke the tie, Jefferson became president, Burr became vice president. And then, but Burr was really ticked at Hamilton.
Hamilton, yeah.
And so he
And
challenged,
everybody's ticked at Burr.
yeah,
Like both
everybody's
sides.
ticked at Burr.
So everyone's siding with Hamilton and Jefferson.
That and
Everybody
so he,
hates
Besides that, people that
Yeah.
voted
Everybody
for
hates Burr.
and so he
But
challenges Hamilton to a
Clearly
duel.
not everybody, because half the people voted for him.
Well, yeah, but then they were mad that he didn't step aside for Jefferson like the plan
Yeah.
said.
Well, Aaron Burr's story is just a whole thing, because gets in a duel with Alexander Hamilton. Hamilton doesn't he, like shoots his gun in the air, and
Yeah.
so he kills.
Yeah, Hamilton.
He's
Yeah,
as
literally
he's vice
fires him.
president, he kills
Yeah.
one of the like most important founding fathers.
So at this point, everyone hates Burr, right?
Yeah.
Like even the people that probably.
And
He's the
so
vice
he's-
president, and he shot one of the most powerful, like one of
Yeah.
the most
Yeah.
influential people
Well,
in America.
What would they expect to happen? It was a duel. Like that's
Yeah.
not all his fault.
Hamilton he shot his gun in the air.
Yeah,
Right, but it's a
But-
duel, so you kind
You
of
don't always kill people in
Yeah.
a duel.
but
Yeah.
it was just a whole thing, and like at this time, vice presidency was the most useless job on the planet.
Yes, it was.
Like he had zero power to do it. He
Yeah.
couldn't do anything. Like his whole job was to, if there's a tie in the Senate, was to vote for one side or the other. And even today, that's part of the vice president's job.
Yeah.
And so he, of course, just kills Alexander Hamilton. And people were not thrilled with that. So he sort of just disappeared from his vice presidency. Like he was vice president of the United States, but like
Unofficially banished from America.
yeah.
nobody everyone just kind of ignored him. Yeah, then him and another guy tried to create their own country in like Louisiana.
Like for real. Like
Yeah.
I think he.
Got charged with treason.
Well,
but
a lot of people think that he was working with at the time. I think the top military general of the American Army to like send soldiers down the Mississippi River,
the people were saying that he wanted to start a war,
take
Which-
over New Orleans,
which would have been an act of treason.
and he was partnered with Spain, I believe.
That
Like,
was
he has Spain's
that was the
backing.
idea. Well, to start a war with Spain would just be a dumb idea, or France or whoever. But so they charge him
Fast
with
forward.
treason.
30 years.
Yeah, they charge him
Whatever.
with treason, but he doesn't get convicted.
There's
Oh,
never any proof.
No. And like going back to the Federalists and Democratic Republicans, when Adams was president, he passed like one of his final acts as president was getting a law passed to add like 26 circuit judges that he would appoint. So it'd be like he could get 26 Federalists into the court system. And these people were called Adams Midnight Judges because he was signing the commendations and like certificates that he would have to give these people for them to get the position, like the second up until his term was over. So, and he left them on the Secretary of State's desk, and by the time they never got delivered. And so Jefferson and his Secretary of State, Madison, they get there, they find these things, and they're like, oh, we're never letting these things get delivered.
Really?
Mm-hmm. And there's a man named, I forget his first name, but his last name was Marbury. And he was one of those people that Adams promised this judgeship to. I had searched up Marbury v. Madison.
Oh wait, that's a famous court case.
It's
yeah, I was gonna say,
like the
that name
first.
sounds familiar.
It's the first big, like Supreme Court case.
Was that John Marshall? Was he the
John
Chief
Marshall.
Justice?
Who was very,
Yeah.
very Federalist. Thomas Jefferson didn't like him at
Yeah,
all.
but he was huge, like super impactful.
He was very impactful. He ran the court for a long time. And and this was like his first major decision as Chief Justice. And it was Marbury took Madison to court so the court could force Madison to give him the judgeship.
Huh.
And this put the Supreme Court in a sticky situation because they could be like, oh yeah, you were wronged, and order Jefferson and Madison to give out all these commendations.
And the reason why is because he technically wrote this when he was president.
Yeah.
So they're presidential orders.
Yeah. So he could try to force or tell Jefferson that he has to, but he knew Jefferson would ignore it. And there's nothing he could do to make Jefferson do it. And so it was this case that like made judicial review a thing.
Okay.
And he basically in his decision came out and said the president should have done this. He did things wrong, blah blah blah. But the court can't hear your case because it doesn't fall under our jurisdiction.
So
It's a court. It's something you'd have to take up with a lower court.
But it showed that like the president was still within the confines of the law.
Mm-hmm.
And, like,
It was a way for Marshall to get a jab in at Jefferson, and like
Yeah.
to show that he's in the wrong, but also a way of giving the Supreme Court this new power
Yeah.
of judicial review,
Huh.
which is a power that they use to this
Yeah,
day.
that's how it started.
Yeah, he's the father of the Supreme Court,
Mhm.
100%.
Yep.
What is... So I always get Andrew Jackson and Thomas Jefferson. They can kind of blend in my mind. Andrew Jackson was Stonewall Jackson,
Yeah, he's the
And-
7th president. I
and
think.
he was like kind of a terrible guy.
Oh, he is an awful human being.
Like with in
But-
terms of Indians and...
Yeah,
and-
he's
yeah, the
he's
Trail of Tears.
Trail of Tears, the Indian removal president.
Okay.
This is bad, but I thought Stonewall Jackson was like in the Civil War.
Stonewall Jackson's a different person. Yeah.
Oh, I
Okay.
thought that's what you
I said that. That's not who it is.
Oh.
So, but Andrew Jackson, who's on your $20 bill, he worked with Native Americans for a long time, fought alongside them, and people called him like the father of the Indians.
Well, they also called him the Tin Man because everywhere
Yeah.
he'd walk, he would rattle.
He had so much lead in him.
because
Really?
of how many duels.
He had a lot of
Wow.
duels. There's a famous story of a duel that he got in where like they turned around, the guy shot him in the ribs, and he stood there and then lifted his pistol and
Wow.
shot the guy.
That's cold.
Yeah,
And
this
he
dude's
got
This dude is Wild West.
he got in so many more duels than almost anybody ever. But he's a really good military commander.
Plot armor.
Yeah.
U.S. plot armor.
I think there's another story where he was walking down like a busy street or something. He had like a cane. He had a couple guys around him, like his bodyguards or whatever. But I mean, obviously at this time they didn't really guard their presidents very much because there had been no president to die in office before. Somebody, like a civilian, came up to him with a knife and went to like stab him. But he like saw this coming, being like a ex-military man and being like a ruffian. He took his cane and started beating this guy and just took it to him, and he was like beating him on the ground and he was gonna kill him, but then his own bodyguards had to pull him off the guy.
Mhm.
The
Who is the president
would-be
where
assassin.
they were in like a crowded room and someone like went to shake his hand but had a gun in his sleeve? Was that a president? That sound familiar?
Oh,
Is it Garfield?
Garfield sounds right.
Andrew Garfield. Or
I
wow.
don't know.
There's what Garfield? What's his first? Not Andrew Garfield.
James Garfield.
James Garfield.
I think it's James A.
He's
Garfield.
the one that ran twice at 2 separate times, right?
I don't know. Andrew sounded right.
No, that's
There's-
because that's Spider-Man.
There's
It does
like
sound right though, but
four.
Right, Andrew Garfield.
That's Spider-Man.
I know, but it sounds like a president. No, it can't.
Oh, that's the actor. That's right.
What was the president's name?
I think it's
Garfield.
James A. Garfield.
James something Garfield. But yeah, he's the one that ran 2 separate times with someone in between him, right?
There were lots of presidents that have done that.
Really?
He's the only one to have won.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Oh, not ran. I'm sorry. Yeah, one.
Well, other than Trump.
Well, Theodore Roosevelt.
yeah, and
That's famous.
Oh,
Shot
yeah.
and kept speaking.
Yeah. He went on for like another 2 hours.
That guy's crazy.
Yeah.
Didn't his
I'm
wife,
sure. I'm sure we'll get to that in a
Didn't his
future
wife and his
episode.
mom die
On the same day.
On the same day.
That's so sad.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Crazy.
He made the White House a zoo though. He had like hyenas and stuff in there.
Yeah, I can see 2 future episodes. One on the Civil War, and then another one just on presidents.
Wait, what?
Oh, that'd be good.
Just on presidents. I think those would be 2 great future podcasts. Next time you come on, Garrett.
We could do that. Yeah.
I guess I was thinking of Grover Cleveland, not
Hmm.
James A. Garfield.
Last question, and we can end on this. What the Alamo, Davy Crockett, like where did this fit in all this time frame? Is this
Oh,
is
the
this quite a
Alamo.
ways after?
Yeah. So this is like when Texas,
Texas
is like the Texas Revolution or like the
Is that
Texas
1820s
War
or
of
30s?
Independence.
So this
It's
would have been like
a little
20
later.
years
It's
in
yeah,
the future.
and I mean Texas was its own country for
Yeah.
quite a bit, and then they joined the U.S. as a slave
But
state.
before they were their own country,
They
Aaron Burr wanted to make that a country.
I think he wanted like Louisiana area.
He didn't want to
Maybe.
expand into that.
He probably did, but like he never got the chance. He wasn't very good at it.
Okay.
And like we got Louisiana anyway because Napoleon sold it for dirt cheap.
Yeah.
Louisiana Purchase. W.
Yeah.
Napoleon. All right, we can start on that in the next one then, because if that's closer to Civil War, or if that sets a kind of the beginning of those states joining,
Mhm.
which kind of sets the beginning of Civil War. So we
Yep.
can save it for that.
Sounds good to me.
Cool.
Cool.
Well, thank you for coming
Yeah,
back
thanks for coming
on.
on. That was very, very entertaining, very interesting.
Thanks for having
Isaac
me.
learned more than he did in all 12 years
Oh.
of his schooling.
At least high school, that's for sure. No, I'm kidding. Shout out my high school teacher. I learned a lot. It was fun.
Name 2 things you learned from high school.
The food was good and recess was fun.
Sounds
Yeah,
That's
all right.
what I learned. All right. On that
Sure.
note, thanks for listening.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.